Hello everyone. Welcome to episode 10 of Going the Distance. I'm Nicholas Delgado and I'm your host for everything to do with high school running in Central Illinois. Make sure to follow on Instagram at GoingTheDistanceIL and tune in every Wednesday for a new episode. There's a lot to talk about today as we cut down from our regional teams to our top sectional teams and we head into the state meet this weekend at Detweiler Park. Very big event, super excited for it. It's going to be a great weekend. First, let's start off with the previous week's meets. I'm going to cover all the sectionals because there's only 13 in total for all of Illinois. So it's good to get a preview of the top runners and teams as we go into the final meet of the year where they will all be clashing against each other for the state title. So first, let's start with 1A and the Benton sectional. Benton wins with 38 points. Exceptionally low score for a sectional, so good job to them. Kevin Geneseo, the junior from Benton, wins in 13:47.9 over Isaac Teal, the junior of Pinckneyville, in 13:54 flat. Now, yes, these times are really fast, but that's because it's a 2.92 mile course. But still, these times convert very fast to Detweiler, around a 14:15. So expect some crazy times this Saturday, assuming good weather, obviously. Right now, it's looking like there's some thunderstorms in the forecast. Hopefully that clears up because I do not know what's going to happen if the thunderstorms. That would not be a joyful day to run. But let's move on. Up north now, the Elgin Harvest Christian Academy sectional. Elgin wins their own sectional. They win with 64 points, just barely over Chicago Latin with 65 points. So really close battle there. Latin sadly loses it by 1. But the senior Daniel Winkleman of Harvest Christian Academy wins in 16:06.8 over Keely Perek, the senior of Latin, in 16:09.9. These were 5K times, so obviously a little slower. Next up, the 1A Elmwood sectional. Normal U High wins with 41 points. Great score from them. Charlie Bardwell, the senior of Eureka, wins this race this time in 15:33.25, beating out Mitchell Hayes, the junior of Normal U High, in 15:37.16. This is a big deal because Charlie Bardwell did not win the regional. Mitchell Hayes did. So Charlie came back, had a great race of sectionals. He was out for some vengeance, and he got it. The Oregon sectional also won a. Riverdale wins with 33 points. Pretty convincing win. Nobody really close. Tommy Murray, the senior of Riverdale, wins in 16:07.3 over Landis Musser, the senior of Riverdale, in 16:13.2. This was also a 5K, so times are going to be a little bit slower. Great race from Riverdale. Expect to see something great out of them this next weekend. And the final sectional for 1A, because they have 5, is the St. Joseph Ogden sectional. Decatur St. Teresa comes out victorious with 77 points. But Tuscola takes the 1 and 2 individually in this race. Josiah Horton, the junior, wins with 15 flat over Jackson Barrett, the junior, in 15 flat .35. It was a 2.95 mile course, but great times out of both of them, and good job to Decatur St. Teresa for taking home the last sectional title of 1A. Moving on to 2A, Chatham Glenwood sectional. Marion comes away victorious with 99 points over Mount Zion with 110, and Champaign Central right behind him with 113. Very important note, the freshman Caleb Mathias of Champaign Central is back, and he dropped a nice time of, I think, 15:20 something. So they're going to be looking good as they head into state. I was a little bit worried. Still don't know what happened, but important thing is he's back, and they're a team to watch out for again. The individual champion was the junior from Marion, Dylan Nally. Big surprise. He wins in 14:06.3. Now, I don't know about Chatham's course. I don't know if it's a little short or net downhill or what. But that's a really close time to Detweiler, so either he's going to drop like a close to state record time, or it's a little short. But he could still do anything. I'm excited to see what he can do this weekend. Moving on, more up north, the Deerfield sectional. Grays Lake Central wins with 43 points. Exceptional score from them. The junior of Grays Lake Central, Trey Sato, wins in 15:04.76. Solid race from him and his team as they move on to the state finals this weekend looking for a title. Next up, the Caneland sectional. Riverside Brookfield wins with 97 points over Belvedere North with 115. Honestly, this was much closer than I thought it would be. I can't tell if it's because Brookfield had not a bad day, but just tough sectional. Just they got more points than I thought they would. or if Belvedere North just had like a really good day. But as we go into state, obviously mixing in with the other top runners and top teams from the other sectionals, it'll be crazy to see how 2A goes down this weekend. I'll talk about it a little bit later also, but 2A is, anything can happen in 2A. It's really going to come down to the day. So it's going to be very, very, very exciting to see these races this weekend. The junior Dale Johnson of Sterling wins in 14:36.88. Big, big win for him. I was not expecting that, I will say. So good job to him. And finally, the local sectional of 2A, Metamora. Morton wins with 68 points over Notre Dame. Josh Weeks, the junior of Morton, wins in 14:54.09 over Owen Forberg, the senior of Oaklawn Richards, in 15:02.95. This is a short course, 2.94 miles, but sharp turns and a little bit of rolling hills makes it kind of close to Detwater times, I would say. So we'll see how those translate over to this weekend. Moving on to 3A. The 4 sectionals out of 3A, starting with Waubonsie Valley. Downers Grove North wins with 75 points, just over Hinsdale Central with 78 points. The senior of Oak Park River Forest, Liam Newhart, wins in 14:44 flat over the senior of Hinsdale Central, Dan Watke, in 14:48.5. Close race there. I am actually surprised Dan Watke didn't win. This course might be really hard. To be honest, Liam Newhart's really fast. I just expected Dan Watke to win. I feel like I expected him to win, though, because of his 800 speed, which doesn't necessarily always mean you're the best at cross. But I guess we'll see how everything goes down at the state meet this weekend. The next sectional, Hoffman Estate Sectional, Palatine wins with 60 points, and Dylan Myers, the senior of Lake Zurich, wins this race in 14:39.7 over the senior Mario Torres of Buffalo Grove in 14:49.18. Great races out of there, fast times, and the two 3A sectionals that we've seen so far. The local 3A sectional, Normal Community, hosts Plainfield South, wins with 32 points. I mean, they're nationally ranked, so obviously they're expected to do stuff like this, but it just blows my mind how easily they win these races. Cameron Viget, the junior of Plainfield South, wins in 14:42.84, just over Parker Knoll, the senior of Oswego East, in 14:45.25. And finally, the Lake Park sectional, Wheaton Warrenville South, wins the race with 88 points, just over Chicago St. Ignatius with 91 points. Close race there, but they pull it off. The senior, Riley Newport at the Cab, wins in 14:50.1, about a 20-second win for him. Now let's move on to some individual performances throughout the state this week. So weekly top times from the whole state. 1A, Charlie Bardwell, the senior of Eureka, runs a 15:33.25 on Saturday at the Elmwood Sectional. Now, I must say, a lot of the 1A races, well, I think all the other 1A races were not 3 miles, so really, I only take these times from 3 miles. So there could have been somebody that ran faster pace, but I just took it off the 3 miles. Next up, Dylan Nally. He wins his sectional and comes away with the weekly top time in 14:06.3 from the Chatham Glenwood sectional on Saturday. He's from Marion. I'm sure we all know this by now, but expect to see a lot out of him this weekend. I'm sure he's chasing down that state title, maybe sub 14, maybe state record. I don't know what's going through his head right now, but I'm excited to see whatever he has planned for us. And finally in 3A, Dylan Myers, the senior from Lake Zurich, comes away with the weekly top time in 14:39.7. This was on Saturday at the Hoffman Estate Sectional. Super fast times out of all 3 classes, but not fast enough to overtake any of the season top times. So, as we move into the last week, it'll be interesting to see if any of those season top times have been broken, because as of right now, the last time I've had to update one of those was at the Peoria High Invite, which was a month ago. Now on to Runner of the Week. Locally, I chose Brecken Ferenckrug, the junior from IVC. He placed 10th in the Elmwood sectional. It's a super tough sectional, so that's why I gave him the local Runner of the Week. It's got U-High, Elmwood, Eureka, El Paso, Gridley, just super stacked for 1A. He ran without his full team also, only individual qualification possible, so really he's just running for himself here. And he ran a 16 flat .7, placing 10th like I said. Really solid race for him. Expecting a really solid race out of him at state. Hopefully sub 16 for him. Elmwood's course tends to be slower, so we could see some fast times out of him and everybody else in that sectional. Statewide, I don't think I've given one to Dale Johnson, the junior from Sterling, but if I have, I apologize because I try to do a new runner every week, but Dale Johnson really deserves it this week. Amazing performance from him. He wins the 2A Caneland sectional at 14:36.88. He just beat so many good people. Evan Nosik, just one of them, by 15 seconds as well. He won the race by 15 seconds. Great competition, great race from him. Excited to see what he's going to do this upcoming weekend as he gets on to Detweiler's course. Big 14-second PR from him. And of course, that's not Detweiler. I don't understand. Now, this course could be short, but I don't know. I don't think so. Compared to the Kaneland's invite from earlier in the year, it seemed to be slower than Detweiler early in the year. So I'm expecting a huge time out of him. I'm sure he's looking for 14:30, maybe sub. But we'll have to see and watch him as we move into next Saturday. Hope for him he has a big race and some great competition for him to race with at the top. Apparently, unlike what he had this weekend. Moving on. The next segment, Conference Corner, is getting littler and littler by the week. Now that half the teams are out from regionals, we only have the sectional teams to talk about. So let's start with the Middle Illini Conference. The teams that raced this weekend at sectionals were Morton, Metamora, Washington, Dunlap, and East Peoria. Metamora and East Peoria sadly eliminated 9th and 11th. They did have some individual qualifiers though. Metamora, they had Trey Helwig, the sophomore, and Carson Cowling, the senior. Both of them qualifying. And East Peoria had Aiden Thompson, the junior. All of them are going to be going to state. Limestone and Canton out completely. We're already running with a full team, but individuals are out as well. But Morton winning, Washington getting 7th, and Dunlap getting 6th. Those 3 teams will be advancing to the state finals at Detweiler Park. Congratulations to those 3 teams and those 3 individuals. I hope to see some great races out of everybody. Yeah, repping the Middle Illini there. Now, Pekin was the only team left out of that. They competed in 3A normal community sectional. I know that their team didn't make it, but the 2 individuals, Josh Holloway and Devin Hayes, it did fall short of the top 10 individuals to qualify, so Pekin is completely out now. The HOI conference had a pretty solid week. Eureka placed 2nd in the sectional. El Paso Gridley placed 3rd. Hayworth placed 9th. So Hayworth, unfortunately, is out, but Eureka and El Paso Gridley going 2 and 3 will be sending their teams to state. But Deer Creek Mackinac sending Ryan Kuhn, the sophomore, to state. He individually qualified through regionals and through sectionals, so he will be representing the area in the state finals. Big 12 conference up next. Peoria Notre Dame in the Metamora sectional. They got 2nd to Morton, so they're sending the whole team through. In the Chatham-Glenwood sectional, we have Urbana, Normal Community West, and Champaign Central. Urbana gets 16th, so they are eliminated. But Normal Community West with 5th and Champaign Central with 3rd will move on to state full teams. The senior Aaron Hendren of Champaign Centennial will be moving on as an individual as he qualified, placing in the top 10. And finally, Normal Community was the last full team left from this conference, but they did not move on to state. They placed 14th in their sectional. Great races from them, just not enough to overcome their super tough sectional. And now we're going to move into an awesome interview that I have for you guys this week. I'm interviewing Josh Weeks and Chase Sauder from Morton. They went 1 and 3 at regionals and 1 and 7 at sectionals. I wanted to have Jonas Wuthridge on too, but sadly he couldn't make it. But let's just get right into the interview. It's a great one. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm here this week with Chase Sauder and Josh Weeks of Morton High School. These 2 runners placed very well at the regional and sectional meets these past few weekends in the IHSA postseason. They went 1 and 3 at regionals and 1 and 7 at sectionals. We were going to try to get Morton's number 2 runner, Jonas Wuthridge, on, but sadly he cannot make it this week. He's the middleman between those two that really bring together the Morton team. So how are you guys doing today?
Doing fantastic. Glad to be here again.
Yeah, same. I'm doing pretty well on this Halloween night.
So yeah, first thing, obviously you guys have been doing great as a team, but Chase and Josh, these things are gonna mean the season's gonna mean completely different things to you guys because, well, Chase, you're a senior, and Josh, you're a junior. So starting with Chase, since you're a senior, can you like expand a little bit on what running this season means to you and going into this last race? Like, what are you running for?
Oh man, I really haven't thought a whole lot. It definitely hasn't hit me that this is. I mean, we have one more race in a Morton uniform, but going into state meet, just gonna be racing for the team. I mean, even though um, we got three seniors on the top seven, but we're all just racing for each other. Really, it's not an individual thing. It's not for just the senior guys. It's for everybody. Everybody's put in the work. Starting in June, every morning. Over the summer, and so we know that we just need to be running for each other this next week.
And then
Really,
Josh,
yeah.
yeah, and then Josh, kind of the same thing to you. But since you're a junior, what does this season like mean to you and looking towards like the future?
Well, this year I'm really just trying to hopefully bring home a state championship trophy for us seniors, like Chase and them, really, and then um, just um, really trying to get that Saturday. And I know all the guys on the team will give their 110% because they're all running for each other. And so I'm just thinking, um, I'm taking it year by year and just hoping next year it's just a movie.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. So let's go back a couple weeks, looking at regionals. So you guys came in 1-3. Josh, I know I already talked to you a little bit about your race strategy, so this one's kind of more at Chase. What was your race strategy going into it? How did it feel, and how do you feel like you performed and followed through with your strategy?
Oh, I don't know. Donovan's a special course. Um, yeah, just kind of just go in, don't blow up. We knew we wanted to put three guys up at the top. We were hoping to have four, but Leighton was like probably 20 seconds behind me that race, which wasn't too bad. Um, and so yeah, we went out a lot slower than what we normally do, and then we just kind of pulled away in that second mile. That third mile is pretty tough, but was able to battle it out. I thought Andrew Elwood was going to catch me, so.
Yeah, a little shout out to Andrew Elward. He's been on the podcast before. That was definitely a fun race to watch, but obviously I'm sure it was pretty brutal from you guys' standpoint, especially since it was like a warm day. So after winning regionals with, I think we had 33 points, when going into sectionals, who did you guys consider your toughest competition? You guys can answer this together, or I don't care who goes first. Josh, you can start.
I felt like team-wise we were pretty solid just going into it, and I think it was really the teams around the Peoria area was going to be our toughest competition, team-wise. So I feel like individually there was I think like guys that are running without their team that qualified for sectionals. I think that might have been a little harder individually than like team wise for us to qualify for state.
Yeah, and you obviously had a great look at that on this past Saturday because you won sectionals. So you won by, I think, 8 seconds is what it ended up being. How did you feel and what was going through your head during that race?
So I really wasn't expecting to have someone that close to me just based off the times going in, but it's like postseason and guys are dropping times like crazy, and like during the race I think one or two guys was with me for the first half, and I really knew I had to like turn it up and just drop them the last 800 to go.
And then Chase, you said you guys kind of modified your racing strategy for Donovan because of the course and the day. How did you guys go
Hmm.
into this race, and how do you think that plan went followed through?
Yeah. Um, yeah, we knew that like P&D was probably going to be our toughest team competition, and then from there we were looking a lot at like the individually for each of like our runners on the team, like how high can we place our top five? How high can we place our top seven against the sectional field? And that's kind of like what we were hoping to do as a team. Um, it was racing strategy. We wanted to get out fast just because Metamora funnels down so fast and you can get boxed in pretty easy. So we got out pretty quickly, but not too terribly fast. We were like 5:07 or 5:08 through the mile, late in Jonas and I. And from there we just worked our way up. I was chasing a chase pack, which is ironic, but I never quite caught up to them. I got it within like 10 meters and then just kind of lost them from there.
And then I'm assuming that's something that you're going to be preparing for as you go into state. Is there's going to be some big packs up there, and every point's going to count because there are going to be at least 5 teams that are really in contention for trophies here. It's going to really come down to the day. So what are you doing to prepare to stay up with that pack, both mentally and physically?
Physically, obviously, we're tapering as a team. We've been tapering for, the past probably week or so, maybe a little longer. And so physically, yeah, we're gonna be ready. Our legs are gonna be ready. Aerobically, we'll be ready to go. Mentally, just kind of like reflecting on the last couple weeks, and I think really like our team atmosphere has really shifted in like, these last couple days, this last week as we're getting to the end of the season. We have a lot of encouragement, a lot of good stuff going around, a lot of good motivation, and we're going to be ready to go and chase down whatever it takes to bring home a state trophy.
And then Josh, same question for you, but you're in a little bit of a different position here. You're going for top five, I would assume. Um, what are you doing to kind of lock in this week and prepare as you go to race state? And as a junior here, obviously Dylan, we know Dylan now is going to go really fast. There's going to be a couple other really fast guys. Are you going to try to stay with them or run your own race, or because state usually goes out pretty quick? What's your plan, kind of going into it?
Yeah, so after sectionals, I've just been thinking about next Saturday, and it's just been in the back of my mind. So I've been thinking, so like if it goes out fast, but not too fast, I'll probably try to stick with them and not like lead for the first mile. And then, but if it goes out like too fast, then I might just tone it back and then second mile really pick it up. But I don't know. I think it's gonna go out really fast, and I'm just gonna feel it out and try to place the best as I can.
Yeah, I think that's a great strategy. And for you, are there any like individual runners that you're excited to race at state?
Yeah, yeah, like Dale Johnson, and then there's kid from Riverside Brookfield. I think they got two that are sub 15, and Brendan Heitzig from Lincoln, which I've raced him a few times. It's gonna be fun, all of us racing together.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to see all you guys at the top racing. Some of you guys as individuals, and then some of you guys as a team. Chase, what about you? You're going for all state. Are you? I'm assuming top 25. You're right in that range. What are your like? What runners do you think you're going to try to stay up with, or excited to race against?
I don't know. There's gonna be a lot of guys I know on athletic.net. I follow that pretty closely. I think I'm ranked like 40th right now with the season best. So, um, yeah, just some of the guys from the sectional last week that I kind of let go. I know we've kind of talked with, our top four and just like being on the hunt in that second mile. So I think on Saturday, just really, we're gonna laser in, hopefully not go out too crazy fast in the first mile, but then second mile through the third mile, just laser in on that top 25 spot and just go on the hunt.
Yeah, that's a great plan. Chase, since you look more into the statistics and stuff and athletic.net, what are the top teams that you think you're going to be competing against and trying to stick with as we go into state?
Um, yeah, I think right now it kind of looks like Grays Lake Central or Riverside Brookfield would probably take home the win. Um, I think it was like less than 15 points that Belvedere North was behind Riverside Brookfield at their sectional, so I'm not really sure what happened there. But Grays Lake Central won with like 43 points, which is absolutely crazy, considering their sectional field. So yeah, I think those two are definitely gonna be up there. Marion's gonna be up there. We're gonna be up there. Belvedere North already said that. Um, yeah, those are probably top five or so teams that are really gonna be in contention for a trophy, I think.
Yeah, I'd say no one team is really gonna run away with it. It's these like top five teams. It's gonna be really really close, and it comes down to which team had the best race really.
Yeah, and one final question for you guys. Yeah, I mean, I really think it's going to come down to the day and who's going to be able to put it all out there on that given day at that given time. But anybody can be beat. It's really going to be a run. There's no predicting this really. I don't think this is going to be a very interesting state race. So that kind of leads into the last question. We've kind of talked about it a little bit, but Josh, we can start with you. What are your personal goals for state, team wise, individual wise, time wise, whatever you want to go at here?
Team wise, I hope. I mean, we have a shot at winning. I hope that we do, and or place like top three for sure. I think we have a good chance at bringing home a trophy, and that's what we're gonna try to do. And then individually, I'm really hoping. I hope to break 1450, and I think state is the race to really do that. And just hoping to place well for my teammates.
And Chase, what about you? What are you looking at as you go into your last cross country race ever?
Yeah, I agree with what Josh said for the team. Yeah, I think we could definitely come away with the trophy, and if we have a good day, possibly come home with a win. But more than anything, I would say, for the team, I just want us all to race well and like go away with something that we're proud of. If like we show up and we all have an amazing day, and some other team like goes away and just blows everybody out of the water, I don't think I'm gonna be too mad about that. Just knowing that we can have a good performance. Um, yeah, and then individually, I mentioned Allstate. I don't really have too big of like a time or anything, but yeah, it's more so on the team aspect. I wanna do something as a team rather than an individual.
Yeah, those are some great goals, guys, and I think they're definitely attainable. It's going to be a great weekend as we come up. And then Josh, I know since you're a junior, we're going to have a lot of people come back next year. It's going to be you, Jonas, Leighton, me, and we have a couple other people just coming up to the program. What are you thinking about as we go into your final senior year? I know you said you're taking like 1 year at a time, but like what are your thoughts about how the program's going to progress into next year?
Yeah, my freshman year, we came in, and one of the mile split guys said we were building a dynasty, and the state is really seeing that after we placed, I think at the Shazam one, we won the Shazam race, and then placing third last year, my sophomore year at state, and then this year we're back at it again. And I think next year will be just as strong too. And yeah, I really think we do have a dynasty, and we just really have to go show people who we are.
Yeah, that's great. I'm really excited to see what you guys can do this weekend and through the next coming years. So thank you both for coming on. I appreciate your time.
Yep. See you later, Nick. Thanks.
Nicholas.
Once again, I'd like to thank Josh Weiss and Chase Sauder for coming on this week. Great interviewing them. Always. I love talking to them. Wish them the best of luck this week. in the state meet. And now let's move on to just that, the upcoming meets this week. Well, there's only really one that I want to talk about. It is the state finals. We can run through it pretty quickly here. Let's talk about the 1A first. 1A section is going to be pretty awesome. We have 4 possible trophy teams, in my opinion. Elgin Harvest Christian Academy, DePaul College Prep, Normal U High, and Decatur St. Teresa, I think, could all possibly trophy. Now, there are a few other good ones that if they have a good day, could go up there and contest for a trophy. However, those are the 4 main candidates, in my opinion. And then winners, I think the top 3 of those are, have a shot at getting a trophy. Elgin, Harvest Christian Academy, DePaul College Prep, and Normal U High all going for that that team championship. Now, 2A is where stuff gets crazy. Literally, anyone's going to be able to get it. I talked about this earlier, but it's really going to come down to the day. Who's going to race best on that day, and who's going to push through the pain or the weather or the wind or whatever's going to be going on out there. It's chaotic. There are 7 possible teams that could trophy this year, in my opinion, and 3 possible winners. And when I said 3 possible winners for 1A, I meant, there's 3 people who could contend for it. Here, I mean, there are 3 that I have no clue what order they are in. I have researched them all year, and I cannot tell you if these it's crazy. It is going to be the most insane state finals in a while. The 3 possible winners I have is Grayslake Central, Morton, and Riverside Brookfield. They're within, I think, 30 points from PR-wise, but they're not all at the same course. It's just going to be crazy. I don't know what to expect, to be honest. But I know that we can definitely be excited to see a great race out of all these teams. The 7 possible trophy teams are the 3 I mentioned, Grayslake Central, Morton, and Riverside Brookfield. Then Marion, Belvedere North, Mather, and Deerfield. Now I want to explain why I didn't pick Marion to be a winning contention team. I think their 5th runner, I'm not too sure about what's going to happen there. He needs to PR by 30 seconds if they want to have a chance, because right now he's set to get just completely buried at state, which will, even with front runner Dylan Alley and super good top 4, they're not going to be able to win. They could trophy, but they're not going to be able to win with a 5 not running low 16s. So that's just my opinion. Belvedere North definitely has a shot up there too. Chicago, Mather, and Deerfield. It's just going to be exceptionally crazy. Glenbard South, who they won regionals. I don't remember what place they got in sectionals, but they're if you run a simulation, they're 10th. This year is just stacked for 2A, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I'm expecting a great race, all 3 races, but especially the 2A guys. It's just going to be super fun to watch. Lots of movement. You're going to be on your toes until the finish line and the results come out. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait for it. Finally, 3A. I chose Plainfield South to take home the win. Obviously not a very hard choice there. They're ranked nationally. They're just destroying every competition they roll up against. So they're probably going to take home the win unless something horrific goes wrong. But for the other 2 trophies, I picked 3 teams that are in contention. Downers Grove North, Hinsdale Central, and Oak Park River Forest all have a shot at taking home a trophy, I think. 3A has a strong field again this year, per usual. And I think that'll be a really fast race to watch. They're probably going to go out fast. I'm excited to see how that goes this weekend. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Make sure to follow @GoingTheDistanceIL on Instagram. I appreciate your time. Once again, I want to thank Josh and Chase for coming on. It was a great interview with you guys. Expect one more episode of the podcast next week before we take a break to recap the state meet. Hopefully another interview. But thanks for listening. Tune in every Wednesday for a new episode, and I will see you next week.